Elon Musk was on stage at a tech summit in New York, addressing thousands of people. He had no idea that Keanu Reeves was sitting quietly in the back rows. But what Elon said about the world of cinema would lead to an unexpected confrontation on stage. What happens when a tech genius meets silent wisdom head to head? Don't miss this story. Don't forget to subscribe. The Javits Convention Center in the heart of Manhattan was hosting the year's biggest technology summit. The hall was completely packed. Stage lights, holographic projections, and giant screens illuminated every corner. This wasn't just a conference, it was an arena where the future was being shaped. Among the attendees were CEOs of world-renowned tech companies, successful entrepreneurs, scientists, and journalists. The moment everyone had been waiting for had arrived: Elon Musk's presentation. When Elon took the stage, the hall greeted him with a standing ovation. With his black t-shirt, jeans, and that characteristic energy, he approached the microphone. His eyes sparkled as he surveyed the audience. Stage lights illuminated his face, while images of SpaceX rockets appeared on the giant screen behind him. "Friends," he said, his voice echoing throughout the hall, "we're gathered here today not just to talk about technology, but to rewrite the future of humanity." Enthusiastic applause erupted. As Elon walked from one end of the stage to the other, he continued, gesturing to represent Tesla's electric vehicles and Neuralink's brain implants. "We're sending rockets to Mars. We're developing artificial intelligence systems. We're transforming the world with electric vehicles. We're creating brain-computer interfaces with neural implants. We're not just dreaming, friends. We're building realities." The excitement in the hall had reached its peak. Some participants had stood up and were applauding. Phones were out, trying to capture this moment. Live streams had started, social media shares were increasing. But in the back rows, in a corner far from the stage, there was a different scene. Keanu Reeves sat in a simple black t-shirt and jeans. He had no phone in his hand, wasn't taking notes, wasn't applauding. He was just listening. The tech editors sitting next to him were unaware of his presence. Keanu had come to learn about new technologies used in films. From the effects in the Matrix series to the action scenes in John Wick, he was curious about how technology was transforming cinema. But as he listened to Elon's speech, different feelings began to awaken within him. "You know," Elon continued, raising his voice, "some people still live in the old world. They watch movies and dream. They watch heroes who save the world with magical powers. This is nice, of course, entertaining. But we here are the real heroes, because we solve real problems in the real world." Laughter spread. Heads nodded approvingly. Some participants looked at each other and winked. "How easy it is to save the world in a movie, right?" Elon continued with a smile, standing in the center of the stage. "The cameras say, 'Action,' you throw a few punches, cause a few explosions, the music rises, and voila, the world is saved. But in the real world, designing rockets, developing artificial intelligence within ethical boundaries, fighting climate change, that's the real challenge." Applause rose again. Elon's energy was contagious. The audience was fascinated by him. Keanu continued to sit quietly. There was no reaction on his face, but something was changing in his eyes. These words were beginning to affect him not just as an actor, but as a human being. "While we build machines," Elon walked toward the center of the stage, opening his arms, "some write scripts. While we code real intelligence, some perform fake emotions. While we truly carry humanity to the stars, some act in space movies in front of green screens." This time, the laughter was even louder. Some began to turn sideways and notice Keanu. Whispers were spreading. "Neo is here. Zrania, John Wick Preble." "Of course," Elon raised his hand, slightly lowering his voice. "Art has value. Entertainment has its place. People need emotional connections, I understand that. But those who truly shape the future are us. Scientists, engineers, entrepreneurs, people who code, produce, build. We are humanity's real heroes." Keanu's jaw had tightened. His hands were slowly clenching on his knees. In his 20-year career, he had met thousands of people and heard stories of how he had touched their lives. But now all of this was being devalued at once. "I can take your questions," Elon said, extending his microphone to the audience. The moderator came on stage. "Does anyone from the audience want to ask a question? We're eagerly waiting after this magnificent presentation." You could hear a pin drop. Asking questions to Elon Musk, engaging in debate with him wasn't easy. No one was standing up to take the microphone. Seconds were passing. While the moderator was looking around impatiently, a figure slowly stood up from the back rows. Keanu Reeves. The hall took on a different energy. Whispers of, "Isn't that Keanu Reeves?" spread in waves. Cameras turned to him. Live streamers zoomed in excitedly. Keanu walked calmly toward the nearest microphone without any hurry. There was determination in every step. People he passed looked at him with respect. When he took the microphone, thousands of people held their breath. Elon also stood on stage, his eyebrows slightly furrowed, watching him curiously. This was an unexpected moment. "Mr. Musk," Keanu's voice echoed calmly but clearly throughout the hall. The sound system carried even his soft tone to every corner. "I listened to your speech with great interest." He paused, his eyes meeting Elon's. There was electrical tension between them. Building machines is truly a great achievement. It's impossible to underestimate this. But repairing broken hearts, guiding lost souls is also engineering that shouldn't be dismissed. No sound came from the hall. This unexpected depth had surprised everyone. "You can take people to Mars with your rockets. This is truly a magnificent achievement. But isn't it equally valuable when a film, a story, brings people out of their darkest places, giving them renewed joy in life?" Elon had furrowed his brow. He was trying to understand where this conversation was going. A slight stirring began among the audience. People who will live on Mars will also need love there. They'll need hope. They'll need to form meaningful connections with each other. And what meets these needs won't just be technology. The hall had never been this quiet. Some participants leaned forward, listening carefully. Humanity advances not just with data, but with emotions too. And sometimes the power of a story to change a person can be greater than that of the most advanced machine. Keanu slowly placed the microphone on the table and began walking quietly back to his seat. He had no hurry while walking, as if this speech had relieved him. Elon stood motionless on stage for a moment. First, a slightly mocking smile appeared on his face, but then, in a brief silence, his gaze became serious. Elon's smile disappeared. His gaze shifted to the thousands of people in the hall. It was as if Keanu's words had touched not just him, but everyone. "Mr. Reeves," he said, taking the microphone back in his hand, saying, "this is truly your job. Touching the human soul is your field. My job is to push the limits of machines." Keanu stopped and turned to look at him. There was respectful tension between them. "But still," Elon said, with a challenging tone in his voice, "dreams alone don't change the world. Without concrete solutions, they remain just beautiful words." He was silent for a few seconds, looking at the audience. "But," he said then in a softer tone, "maybe if those dreams didn't exist, we wouldn't even start looking for these solutions." Keanu nodded slightly, showing he understood Elon's perspective. Elon paused for another moment. His smile had completely disappeared, replaced by a more thoughtful, more open expression. "Still," he said slowly, as if saying these words for the first time, "I must confess that if I hadn't watched The Matrix, I wouldn't have been so passionate about developing brain-computer interfaces. If I hadn't watched Blade Runner, I wouldn't have thought so deeply about the future role of artificial intelligence." This time, the hall made a different sound. Murmurs, mixing surprise with approval, spread. "Maybe," Elon continued with new sincerity in his voice, "you're right, Mr. Reeves. Maybe the future really needs both to be complete. You create dreams, we turn them into engineering marvels." Keanu smiled slightly and bowed respectfully. This moment was like a bridge connecting two worlds. The hall applauded, but this time it was completely different, more thoughtful, more respectful, more meaningful. This applause contained not just excitement, but deep understanding. When the conference ended, people were having different conversations as they left. Not just about rockets and electric cars, but about art's impact on technology, storytelling's role in innovation, the importance of the human factor. Backstage, journalists were trying to catch both Elon and Keanu. While answering questions, Elon referenced Keanu's words. "I received an important reminder today. Technology exists to improve people's lives, but we shouldn't forget people's emotional and spiritual needs." Keanu tried to avoid intervention. He gave a few brief interviews. "I just shared perspective. What Elon Musk does is truly impressive. I just wanted to remind about the balance between technology and humanity." After the conference, the hashtag number Elon vs. Keanu went viral on Twitter. People were comparing the two perspectives, debating which was more right. but the majority believed both were right and complemented each other. Weeks later, Elon said in an interview, "Keanu reminded me that no matter how powerful technology is, it finds its greatest value when people give it meaning." Keanu said in another interview, "The future is written not just with codes, but with stories too." 2 months later, an unexpected development occurred. Neuralink, one of Elon's companies, announced a new brain implant project to be used in treating depression. The project description emphasized understanding human emotions and experiences. When Keanu spoke about technology's role in the new Matrix project, he mentioned Elon's name, saying, "Such a collaboration could be interesting." Elon smiled and replied, "Who knows?" That brief but effective encounter that night had brought two worlds closer together. The tech world began to think more humanely, while the art world began to better understand technology's power and potential. The future would be written not just with machines, but with hearts too. And that night, this truth was proven once again before the eyes of thousands, through the meeting of two different geniuses. Stories aren't just entertainment, sometimes they shape the future, too. If you like this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.